Good evening and welcome to the Fort Clinton City Council regular meeting of February 12th, 2019. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, the Lord's Prayer, and taking a moment of silence for our military veterans and first responders. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call me? Sorry about that. Council, Mrs. Pippley is not with us this evening. She is on vacation. So we would entertain a motion appointing Mrs. Sardi.
Madam President, I move that we accept Mrs. Sardi as the pro tem secretary clerk for this meeting. Thank you.
A motion to appoint.
I will second.
Second for Mrs. Sardi. All those, yeah, please call the roll.
Dave Belo,
Yes.
Joel Friedman,
Excused.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Roseanne Hickman.
Yes.
Brian Hill.
Here.
Margaret Phillips. Yes. Lisa Sardi. Yes.
Mrs. Sardi, will you please call the roll?
Dave Belo,
Here.
Joel Friedman,
Excused.
Beth Gilman.
Present.
Roseanne Hickman.
Here.
Brian Hill.
Here.
Margaret Phillips.
Here.
Lisa Sardi.
Council, you did not receive any minutes for this evening's approval. The chair notes that certification has been received regarding the compliance with the rules and notification of this meeting. This evening we have some guest presenters with us. I'd like to welcome Nikki Adams, Nicole Kokensparger, Mike Snyder, Mike Broder, and Mike Zipfel from the Main Street Board Committee. Welcome. So I'm going to have you go ahead and do your presentation.
All right. My name is Nikki Adams. I'm the program manager of Main Street Fort Clinton. And on behalf of the board of directors, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to come to you today to present our information about Mora, which is our outdoor refreshment area for Main Street. We have been looking at this as a board for about a year or so. And during that time, the community has done a great deal of research, talking to other communities that have Dora. They even did a field trip. And so we've learned a lot about it, and we think that this is something that's going to be truly beneficial for the Fort Clinton area. We have drafted a ordinance. It is currently with Mr. Wilbur. Along with that ordinance is a map that was created by DEC as far as the footprint of our proposed Mora would be. And with that being said, I would like to introduce Mike and Mike, who are the three gentlemen that will be presenting to you tonight. So, thank
Madam
you
President,
again.
we really cannot hear well with the heating system, and I'm sure that those out here in the audience hear even less. So could we make sure that we might listen to
Can you hear me, Margaret? Thank you, ma'am. Madam President, thank you. Members of council, others, thank you very much. If you were paying attention a moment ago, you heard that our committee of 5 is 2 Nicks and 3 Mikes. So much like Men in Black, we just refer to ourselves by letters, S, R, and Z. Last names there. And we are here this evening as representatives of the Mora Committee for Main Street, Fort Clinton. As you know, Main Street is designated to improving the designated area in the downtown district. There are 4 primary committees. The Mora Committee was a special ad hoc committee that was created because the 12-member board of directors for Main Street felt that this was such an important project. They wanted one group just to focus primarily on that. R and I are members of the Main Street board. Z is a community member who found this topic interesting enough that asked to join the committee and be part of the discussions and what you'll see here this evening. Thank you very much, sir. Slide. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of different things, and I'll do most of the talking, but these guys will pitch in. There's no really one expert on this thing. We've all been educating ourselves throughout the year and some months that we've been talking about this. I'm going to talk briefly about DORAs in the state of Ohio. The PC Mora, we've changed the designated outdoor refreshment area to Main Street Outdoor Refreshment Area. The goals of the Mora, how it works, the do's and don'ts, what you can and cannot do according to state law, and our plan of action moving forward from today, where we've been and where we're going from here. Slide, please. Everybody remember back in 2015, the Cincinnati community and Great American Ballpark played host to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And the community leaders down in Cincinnati got together and said, hey, how can we enhance the experience of the tens of thousands of people that will be coming into our community for the All-Star Game? And they got together with some of the legislators, and back in 2015 created ORC, you can see the number 4301 and so forth, which established a designated outdoor refreshment area. At the time, it was designated for communities with populations of 35,000 and greater, and could not be any greater in size than 320 consecutive acres. Several communities throughout the state created their own DORA in their community, meeting those population requirements. And then in 2017, that was then amended to include communities of our size, 35,000 and less, with the designation of no more than 150 consecutive acres. Slide. Just a quick internet search revealed that there's about a dozen communities, 13 if you count us, that are either enacting or considering the creation of a DORA or MORA or similar property throughout the state of Ohio. And you can see there's a wide range of sizes. Yes, the big cities, but there's also some suburbs and some smaller communities, Chillicothe and so forth. Slide. Our proposed area, as spelled out in the ordinance that was presented to Mr. Wilbur for his review, encompasses the map that you see up there, Jefferson, Perry, Adams, the railroad tracks, Monroe, and everything along Lakeshore Drive. As you can see, that breaks down to about 92.11 acres according to the DEC survey, which is about 2/3 of what we're allotted by state law, and that would encompass everything within that space. Slide. As part of the ORC requirements, the boundaries have to be designated with a sign that says, "Hey, this is the end of it." We took a field trip to Toledo and experienced what they had to offer. This was a sample of the sign that you find up at the Toledo DORA. The city is currently working on designs for the existing slide. The properties, if you will, the establishments within the designated area that can participate in this are listed up here. And as you can see, it's a mixture of both private clubs, service organizations, and then general population or public access facilities throughout that designated area. Just because they're on that list, those are establishments that have liquor licenses. Not all of them will be able to participate. I'm learning a lot about liquor permits. There's 55,000 different types of liquor permits in the state of Ohio, and just because you have a liquor permit doesn't necessarily mean you can participate. But these are the liquor establishments. We won't get into the weeds about who can and who cannot participate in the MORA, but these are the establishments. The goals of this event, the MORA, increase the establishment's participation in downtown events. For instance, car shows, walleye drops, any other event that may take place in downtown. It gives the establishment as well the opportunity to create and be creative by themselves or partner with other entities. An example that we've talked about to several groups that we've met with, let's say the VFW wanted to hold the Northern Ohio VFW conference. They could use their facility as the mainstay and a bar that the folks could come to, but then they can also go out and circulate throughout the community using the VFW as their mainstay. The sky's it's limitless as to the amount of different activities and programs that can be created through the creativity of those in the community. And going to the next one, expand on the existing events and creativity. Increased turnover in establishments. I think we've all been out to dinner with a spouse or family member, and there's 4 of us and 3 of us want to go, but one of us still wants to finish the beverage in front of you. This gives the opportunity for the entire group to leave the establishment, thereby turning over the tables. You know, research shows that the majority of the money spent in a dining restaurant establishment is spent within the first few minutes, and it dwindles after that. So the more rapidly you can turn over the tables, it's beneficial for everyone. As part of this plan, there are 2 distinct activities, for the lack of a better term right at the moment, that have to take place through the ORC, through the state requirements. That would be the sanitation plan and the enforcement plan. Main Street is currently talking with the service provider for trash pickup throughout the city for additional pickups in the downtown designated area to address the potential for additional trash. There will also be additional receptacles, both trash and recyclable, placed within the designated MORA area. Chief Hickman, who was just sitting right there.
I'm over here, Mike.
Oh, hello. Hello. Running, also cameraman, for those of you who don't know, has worked diligently on an enforcement plan as part of this operation to enforce the rules associated with MORA. And we've made some recommendations to Mr. Wilbur on potentially increasing penalties within the designated MORA area for any violations. Enhance the spirit of cooperation amongst the downtown businesses. I kind of alluded to that with number 1 up there, getting the different establishments maybe to partner for an event instead of on their own. And then finally, this is kind of a universal with all of the MORAs or DORAs throughout the state of Ohio, improve, and it goes right along with what Main Street's primary goal is, to enhance the designated area, residential opportunities, commercial opportunities, and enjoyment for everyone. Now, the number 1 question everyone has is, what can you do and what can't you do? Well, the very first thing you can do is drink responsibly and have a good time. You know, enjoy the MORA. You must MORA. You must purchase the drink from a licensed establishment. You can't bring in your own. You have to purchase it from a participating licensed establishment within the MORA, and you must put that beverage in a designated cup. Part of the ORC requirements clearly defines what that cup must be. You have to keep it in that cup and stay within that designated MORA area. Next, please. This is just an example of what the cup for the Toledo area looks like, as well as the flyer that is spread out at all of the participating establishments and in marketing materials as far as education. It's difficult to see, but the cup picture on the right has 3 simple rules. And those are the 3 simple rules that every MORA, DORA, however you want to call it, has to participate with. You're holding them. There's no excuse. You know the rules. It's on printed material as you walk out the door. But you're holding the rules in your hand as you're walking around the designated MORA area. Slide. The don'ts, obviously don't act a fool and ruin it for the rest of us. You know, none of us want to be in an atmosphere where we're not comfortable. That's not the intent of this. It's to have a good time and drink responsibly. You can't bring your own beverage into the designated area. You know, that's one of the questions that was brought up. Well, what if I bring a 6-pack and keep it in my car and just use the cup? Well, you get caught, there's fine penalties, and you know, again, our suggestion is that they're a little bit higher. You can't walk around with a beer bottle or a can. Again, it has to be in the designated MORA cup. And you can't walk into another establishment. If I walk out of XYZ Tavern, I can't walk into Mary's Blossom Shop. I can't even walk into ABC Tavern with a MORA cup from another establishment. So you have to finish it before you go into that next establishment. The plan of action, where we've been and where we're hoping to go. The MORA committee was established in late 2017, as I mentioned, as part of the Main Street's operation to get this into fruition. And over that time, we've done a tremendous amount of research, called just about anybody and everybody that we could possibly think of, from the State Department of Liquor Control to 15 other DORA establishments throughout the area. And we took a field trip. We went up to Toledo to see how that works up there. We've had conversations with council, the administration, law enforcement. We met with various establishments, all of the establishments but 2 we've been able to sit down and talk face to face with. And then we met with other interested parties within the designated Mora area. The next step in this plan is to have you take a look at the ordinance, presuming that the president of council will assign it to a committee for your review. Be happy to sit in on those committee meetings to answer any questions that you may have. Once an ordinance is adopted by the city, it becomes part of a package that gets sent to the Ohio Department of Liquor Control for their final okey dokey, again, for lack of a better term. Once the Department of Liquor Control has given the blessing, then it's up to Main Street, and I should probably address this. Main Street would be the managing entity for this, for the Mora. It's not operated by the city. It's operated by Main Street. It just needs the blessing of the city to be enacted. Any revenue that's generated from the Mora gets pumped back into the Main Street operation for the betterment of the downtown area. Well, how does Main Street make money on this or generate revenue? There would be a membership fee for the participating entities to print up the flyers for the education purpose, an annual fee, and then the participating establishments would purchase the Mora Cup from Main Street that they use within their establishments. Our goal, when this is all said and done, is to have this in place by May of this year to get this going for the summer season. Now, I know you have a lot of questions, and we'll get to the questions in a moment, but if you would slide, we'd like to invite all of you to another field trip. We'd like to go back up to Hensville in the Toledo area on the 21st of February. We'll meet here in the parking lot at City Hall and carpool up to the, where are we going? Holy Toledo Tavern. Thank you, Holy Toledo Tavern. If you're in the Toledo area, you see the address up there on Clark Street, or St. Clair Street rather. We're going to meet with the Nikki Adams of the Toledo area and their DORA administrator. Meet with the establishments themselves, talk with the bartenders, talk with the management staff, see how it has positively impacted their business, meet with the customers, how they enjoy it. Go into the other restaurants and businesses in that designated area to hear the positive stories about what the Mora DORA over there has done for them. I talked a lot. Did you guys have anything to add?
I do. I think one thing in your mind as you sit here, it's easy to say, okay, well, what does this do for our liquor establishments? But I think one of the things you got to keep in mind is what it can do for all businesses, because anything that can increase the foot traffic, your window shoppers, things of that nature, I think would be a big benefit for the city. So it's not just to boost restaurants, bars. I think it's a tool that can really enhance downtown business as a whole.
Yeah, we have a ton of people that are coming into town and pretty much passing by. At this point, they have a unique experience to kind of keep them here and let them see what Port Clinton is, and hopefully next time they plan on coming to Ottawa County, they plan on spending a weekend here rather than hitting the boat.
Madam President, we accept questions?
Absolutely. Mr. Tiroli?
Jerry Trolley, 647 Harrison. In your sanitation plan, you discussed trash and recycling. One of the big problems downtown are cigarette butts. There's no ashtrays. I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean,
Nikki, do you want to address that with the overall
We have
plan?
been looking at trying to find some grants for cigarette butts. I mean, we've tried just about every place. So we do know design committees. I know Tyler sits on that. We're looking at purchasing probably 10 to 12 cigarette butts or something that we can place them in. There's been a few buckets that have been put around, but I So we're looking at those all-inclusive tall ones to match our trash.
Somebody arranged for some beautiful tree pots to be put downtown.
He
It's
is
gorgeous.
amazing, isn't he?
Amazing. What about getting in touch with the company that built those to see if they could do something like that?
We have been, we did try to look at something
Very
recycling,
nice.
and they kind of laughed at me, and they said that heat and recycling really don't go hand in hand together, so.
Right.
So they did give me contact information for another company that deals with similar.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Troy, the bigger issue there, and I know they've had a plan for some time now, the Main Street Group, is the cost. I never realized how much trash cans and planters and cigarette butt receptacles, how much that stuff costs. Is it $80,000?
Yeah.
$85,000 for to do everything that Main Street wants to do in the whole greater, not just more, but the whole greater downtown area. For those interested, a bench is $1,200.
Yes, thank you. We have a great sale on cigarette butts.
My parents' 50th wedding anniversary is this year. Don't tell them, but they're.
But we are addressing the voluntary, so we know that that's something that has to be.
Thank you.
And in general, this is something that is going to be a moneymaker for Main Street, which will then help us put money towards things like more ashtrays.
John Stinchcomb, reporter with the News Herald, also a Port Clinton resident, 615 Fremont Road. Do you guys have an idea of, it might be in the ordinance, but what those fees are going to look like on an annual basis, or and a ballpark for the cup costs?
As far as the fees goes, that kind of depends on how many people we have, how many bars and restaurants jump on board. But anywhere from about $250 to $500 annually for the bars. And again, cup costs are very similar. The more we can buy at one time, the more we think we're going to go through in a year, the better of a deal we can get. And also, who sponsors it. We can get a good sponsor, we get a good amount of the establishments that we talk to on board. Cups could be as low as about 25 cents a piece, as high as about 75 cents a piece.
One of the requirements of the liquor control issuance, we have to have a minimum of 4 establishments that say, yeah, this is something I want to. We have well over that number that have already said, hey, we'd like to move forward with this. So we have those commitments, which will help address that cost issue.
Are these single-use cups, or this might be outlined in the ORC?
Yes, single-use.
Okay, gotcha.
The difference between licensing, I know you didn't want to get into that too deep, you don't really need to, but
What's your address? I'm sorry, for the clerk.
my address?
Yeah, for the clerk.
710 South Astoria Street. I'm Kirk Freibot if you need that. The licenses that are available for downtown, are those also good for this DORA program?
Yes. Yeah, it's the DORA is an addendum to any other liquor license. So as long as you are in good standing and, almost anyone who is in good standing with their liquor license can do this. If they are an improvement district license or entertainment district license, any of those are all applicable.
For those that don't know what he's talking about, Main Street is a revitalization district, so we have a number of liquor licenses that aren't available anywhere but in our Main Street area. So his question was, if you have one of those, are you still enrolled? We should submit it, and that's a yes.
And I mentioned when I showed the list, there's one establishment that doesn't have the right permit to allow participation in the DORA or MORA, and they're looking at getting one of the Main Street licenses to participate.
Licenses, the revitalization licenses still exist.
We believe 7, I believe.
7.
Members of council, any questions for him?
Shannon Rogers, 723 Monroe. What would the hours of operation be for that?
We're looking right now at noon to midnight.
7 days.
7 days a week. Yes.
One of the things that was suggested in Toledo, they tried to turn it off, turn it on. They tried to adjust their hours on. It was just too confusing for the general population. And when I spoke with folks in Dublin, they concurred with that. Keep it uniform year-round to avoid any confusion down the road.
Woman 419 West says, can special events get a license for one-time use?
Not inside the Mora district. That's why we did not include the Waterworks Park area because of the festivals that take place there. But things like the car show, instead of putting up a beverage tent, the establishments become the beverage tent to help circulate foot traffic through those locations.
So we're losing any downtown refreshments. In other words, the Harvest Fest, let's say they would bring in a beer tent.
They wouldn't be able to. Slater's and Rosie's and Jed's become the beer tent.
Thank you.
I have Victoria Heinsohn, 204 Monroe Street, and we also have the Marshall Inn, which is right on Monroe Street. So let's pretend I'm somebody from another town. I don't care about Portland. I don't care about anything. I've got a 6-pack of beer in my back seat. And I see somebody walking along with a cup. I'm going, hey, how about you give me that cup? And I pour my beer in there and walk around with it. How hard is it to get away with that? I mean, can you, or?
I mean, it's as hard as pouring it into a coffee cup, I would say. You know, it's, if you get caught, we've suggested that the penalties be increased, as opposed to the normal penalties of an open container in public. But yeah, I mean, it's there's not.
We're not naive enough to think that that won't happen.
Right.
But we're hoping that these folks do their job well enough that that guy that doesn't care is going to care when he opens up his wallet.
Are the receptacles for the cups on the street itself, or are they in the establishments?
They will be outside. We're looking at recycling units, trash treating units, and that will be placing them outside. So we'll be encouraging recycling, but they'll be on the outside. So when they're done drinking, they have to discard it before they walk into the building, the next establishment. So we will be having them placed out in front of each of the establishments.
And I think if everyone in this room shows up on the 21st for the field trip, that'll be great, and we'll shock the heck out of the folks in Toledo. A lot of these same questions were asked when Toledo started theirs. And one thing that kind of floored us, that obviously we don't necessarily have to worry about here, homeless population. The homeless population getting a Hope Memorial Cup, or a Dora Cup up there. And they really haven't seen that happen. Admittedly, they did say on opening day for Hensville, when there are tens of thousands of people down there, there's people walking around with open containers. Law enforcement takes a very proactive effort. Hey, go put that back in a cup or pour it out. And, you can't have that outside.
Mr. Turley?
I have one more question. The 4 Ps at Knights of Columbus.
That's on private
Be able to
property.
serve?
That's on private
They'll
property,
be
so
able
it's
to
okay.
serve their alcohol.
Yep.
If it's on private property.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, so you couldn't get a special event permit in the street anymore, but you can still get special event permits for private property.
Thank you.
You scratching?
Rick Nutter, 608 East Perry. Have you thought about also having the containers where the signs that delineate the district are, so that people who are walking outside of that district, instead of just pitching it over their shoulder?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Chief Hickman, can you talk just about enforcement, what that might look like at the beginning, of what residents might be able to expect?
It's going to be no different than events like the walleye drop. We have people that meander out to watch the walleye drop, and we take a proactive approach, much like Mike says, but we afford them the opportunity to dump it out, or we'll take it and dump it out the same way. To answer your question, I'm assuming bars or people aren't going to want it ruined for anybody, so somebody's going to call us. We're going to watch. And right now, with just what we have in a place, an open container in a public place is a $100 fine. So, do I see an issue with it? Not a big issue. no more than any summer day when people walk around downtown with a bar with a beer thinking they can. Again, we don't cite everybody. This is vacation land. We ask them to dump it out, or we'll dump it out for them.
Thank you. Mr. Snyder, I see in your district you included on the north side of Lakeshore Drive a lot of private property like waterfront to condominiums. So there won't be any confusion about folks enjoying being out of the pool. They're technically in the Mora district if it's established.
As long as they're on their property, they're fine. They're fine. Just like, for instance, the Our Guest Inn. The Our Guest Inn has an existing liquor permit for their entire property. They can't walk off of the Our Guest Inn if they're holding a beverage, they probably could, but they can walk around the property.
And participants would be able to sit and shop downtown, and shop owners are willing to let folks in with a Mai Tai.
They still can't go in and shop with the
any other establishment.
Correct, whether it's liquor or not.
Including the one you've got to come out of there, so they should go back in.
Are there rules, with the cups being single use, are there rules about people who might use the cups with the intent to reuse it for own personal beverages? That the example was beer in the car, or is that just something you hope works at the honor system? I don't know. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that a lot. We knew it would come up. It was one of the questions that we had, and it's the way we kind of saw it is it's no different than like I mentioned earlier, a coffee cup or a Yeti cup or whatever that may be. If someone really wants to carry a drink around, they can do it. Not legally, of course, but we don't think this is going to add to that by any means.
Mike, the first Dora, was that in Middleton, Ohio, do you know?
No, it was Cincinnati itself, around the baseball stadium.
Okay, because there was, whoever was part of the first Dora, they were making changes, and I think it was this year, to allow people to go into establishments for shopping purposes. So that's not something you're considering at all?
It's on the, if the state allows it, I think that's, I'm pretty sure we'd have to come back to council to amend our.
It looked like they were writing that into their ordinance to encourage shopping, people to have a drink, walk in instead of just window shopping.
And leave it up to the individual establishment to determine whether or not they can go in or not.
I don't know how active that is, or if they've done it, or they were just pursuing it.
I haven't seen a lot about it lately. I've had most of the correspondence with the liquor control, and I haven't heard a lot about it. But that doesn't mean it's not something they're actively pursuing. We're not really getting involved in the changing of the DORA laws. We're still focused on trying to make this one happen.
None of the ordinances for other cities that we looked at has allowed that in there. And we've looked at several different ones.
I think it was Middleton, and it was just in a shopping plaza was where the Dora was.
Mr. Snyder, Port Clinton would be the smallest city added to this list. What are your comments on that?
Small in January, but not so small in July. I have confidence in our law enforcement to do what's needed, and confidence in the citizens of Port Clinton to not ruin it for the rest of us.
Mr. Weber, there wouldn't be anything irreversible should council considers the ordinance and the tax to make amendments in the future and go back to liquor control with a revision to the.
We're reviewing it, but there is a process that needs to be reviewed periodically, and change to be able to be made, be able to revoke it.
On the ordinance, the state mandates that it has to be reviewed at least every 5 years, and then both the sanitation plan and safety plans are to be reviewed every 6 months for the first 5 years as well, to make sure there are no changes needed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I understand that Tiffin Council rejected it. What were the issues that they were?
It's back in front of council for approval. They made an amendment. Apparently, and I'm not familiar with downtown Tiffin, but one of the high schools is very close to the designated DORA area. And yes, Calvert. Okay. And the concern of a couple of citizens was that Calvert has open lunch where you can leave to go down to 1812 and have a hamburger for lunch if you chose. And there was just some concern that having the potential of folks out on the street while kids are walking to and from, as opposed to inside watching them sit at the bar. But that was the concern, and they've addressed that. I think they adjusted the time.
And another thing that I think contributed to that is this didn't happen. You know, the council, the committee that brought it up didn't stand in front of council to explain it. They submitted their proposed ordinance, and that was it. So there was no Q&A. There was nothing. They just didn't have enough information, and said nope.
Mr. Snyder, excuse me. Would there be any way to know how much cost increase the city would have, whether it's through insurance or increased police department staff or anything like that? Did the other cities give you any indication of that? Or?
They did not. You aren't adding any additional personnel. There's no requirement of insurance on the city's part. Once the patron steps over the threshold and out onto the street, they hold ultimate responsibility. So the establishment isn't liable for anything. There hasn't been any issues, as far as I know, with the city or communities being liable.
Right, as long as that person steps across that threshold and they were not overserved inside, and yeah, it's solely on that person. But that being said, if they were to walk out, obviously stumbling or if they walked out overserved, then it is still on the establishment that overserved them.
And Main Street Park Company assumes all costs, so the startup, the signs, the trash cans, and any liability insurance additional that we need.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't there be a great police presence with this, or no need for that?
What I'm going to tell you, in the summer, we're going to have our increased manpower. It's going to be on, basically, we're going to have 4 guys on from 11 to 3 in the morning, because the 2 SROs will be out of the schools. But it'd be no different than if we see somebody walking down the street completely intoxicated. We would stop them, find them somebody to come get them, or bring them up to the police department like we have before in the summer and let them sober up.
So what you're saying is there's no DORA task force needed in the police department?
Correct.
Right. Thank you.
Also, if any problems arise, even if this passes for the 5-year period, it can be dissolved or changed within the area at any time. Is that what you're...
Whose responsibility will it be to train the bar staff? Will you be training the establishments so that they know how to train their staff? And first of all, thank you all for working so hard on this. I really, truly appreciate all your hard work. But I know there's a lot of rules that go with this, so who will be responsible for training the establishments?
From a bar's perspective, anyone that's going to serve beer at a bar has to pass tips training, which is going to go through all of that. As far as over serving them, and there's the one rule they've got that every bartender will have to figure out or will have to learn right away is who is allowed a cup. If you're willing to serve that person a beer without risk of getting a ticket for over serving somebody, you can give them that cup. So really, there's no from a bartender's perspective, there's no real extra to know, except for not allowing people to come in. So I'm going to say that we will have a good rule packet, a good list of rules and best practices handed out to the bars when they join. And beyond that, it's going to be up to them to train them, but most of that training has already been done by the time they've stepped behind the bar.
And one of the doors that we talked to, and I can't remember which one, and I'm not going to be able to say it as eloquently as they did, but what I took out of it was, most of us in this room have served. Everyone in the establishment has taken that TIPS training and knows what to look for. So they're far beyond whatever is out there, was out there.
And we'll make sure as Main Street, the board, I know, to make sure that everybody has their signs posted where they're supposed to, make sure that the table tents are up. And we'll make sure that all that, the signs are up, if there's one missing or something, we'll make sure that they're
I think it's important to note that it's running through Main Street because it needs to run through or it needs to be established through a nonprofit, correct?
Correct. Established and managed.
Yeah, I think that needs to be noted so that people are aware of that's why Main Street is in charge of it and not the city.
And then every establishment will have a sign in their window, on their door, right near any entrance that says, one, they are participating DORA establishment, and two, what the rules are. Along that there's going to be a map and things like that, but the rules will be right in front of you. If you don't have a cup in your hand, before you get that cup, you already know what they are.
Well, if no other questions, I hope we see everybody on the 21st, and if anybody has a van, Zipfel said they buy dinner.
Volunteered again.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any questions? All right. Thank you very much for the information. I'd like to assign this to the Planning and Development Committee for their review and consideration.
Thanks.
You're welcome, Mr. Vila. We will now move to the reports for the evening. This evening, the mayor is not with us. The auditor's report.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. The treasurer's report.
Mrs. Heisen couldn't be here. She said that Hanson, sorry. Mrs. Heisen, sorry. Mrs. Heison's here. Bed tax is $3,570.87.
Thank you. The law director's report.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Safety service director's report.
Thank you, Madam President. First, just like to thank the citizens and visitors who were so compliant with us and assisted us with the snow emergency a couple weeks ago. And, getting the information out with the police department early. We gave everybody about 16 hours heads up that we were going to do that. We were able to, with little to no drama, get the cars off the streets so that the plows were able to get through. We really appreciate that. We continue to put that information on social media. We've had some inquiries about problem reports, and as things thaw or damage to some curbs or catch basins, things like that. The problem reports are on the website. I encourage you to fill those out online and send them right from there. We get them received and get those things cleared up.
Thank you. Police chief's report.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Thank you. The fire chief is attending training this evening. We'll move to correspondence. Council, you received the auditor's month-end reports for January 2019. You also received the laws, rules, and ordinances minutes dated January 22nd, 2019, as well as the Finance Committee meeting minutes from 11/27/18, 12/18/18, and 1/8/19. You also received the State of the City 2018 from the mayor. I would ask for a motion to approve the correspondence as it is stated.
So moved, Madam President.
Mr. Velo, thank you. Second, for Mrs. Phillips. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? seconded. We'll now move to the readings of ordinances and resolutions. This evening, we have no third readings. We'll move to the second readings of ordinances and resolutions. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 2-19.
Ordinance 2-19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Services to enter into a contract with the Board of Trustees of Portage Township to provide emergency ambulance service within Portage Township and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 2-19? Seeing none, ordinance 2-19 will be moved to its third reading at our next regular council meeting on February 26, 2019. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 3-19?
Ordinance 3-19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to enter into a contract with the Board of Trustees of Bay Township to provide emergency ambulance services within Bay Township and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 3-19? Seeing none, ordinance 3-19 will be moved to its next reading on February 26, 2019. We'll move to new readings. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, resolution 19-1?
Resolution 19-1, a resolution authorizing the sale of personal property by internet auction.
Does council wish to take any action on resolution 19-1? Seeing none, resolution 19-1 will be moved to its second reading on February 26, 2019. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 5-19?
Ordinance 5-19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to submit an application for grant and/or loan assistance from the United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development to finance the purchase of police vehicles and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 5-19? Seeing none, ordinance 5-19 will be moved to its second reading on February 26, 2019. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 6-19?
Ordinance 6-19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to submit an application for grant and/or loan assistance from the United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development to finance the purchase of a water utility vehicle and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 6-19? Seeing none, ordinance 6-19 will be moved to its second reading on February 26, 2019. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 7-19?
Ordinance 7-19, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to apply to the Ohio Department of Transportation for safe routes to school funding for a city project and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 7-19? Seeing none, ordinance 7-19 will be moved to a second reading on February 26, 2019. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 8-19?
Ordinance 8-19, an ordinance rezoning a parcel of property located at 570 South McKinley Street and amending the zoning map for the city of Oakland.
Does council wish to take any action on ordinance 8-19? Seeing none, ordinance 8-19 will be moved to a second reading on February 26, 2019. business from the floor. This evening we'll begin with Mrs. Sardi.
Thank you, Madam President. We discussed tonight at the Parks and Rec meeting that the Easter egg hunt is April 13th at 10 a.m. at Lakeview Park, and there'll be more information to follow. There'll be donations as we have in the past. The open gym swim will go through March 17th, Sundays, on Sunday. The park bathrooms are closed, as everyone knows. Portage Park bathroom had water breaks, so they are working on that. That will be fixed in time, just to let everyone know. And I would like to thank the Maura Dora Board for all that you've done and the information, and thank you for coming during the meeting. So that is all, Madam President.
Thank you. Mrs. Hickman.
I would just like to thank you all for coming and presenting this evening. Truly appreciate all your hard work. That is it, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Hickman. Ms. Phillips.
Thank you, Madam President. For those of you listening on the audience, two ordinances that we're working on here are coming up with new police cars, and so that's what we're looking for, ordinance 519 and 619. We're working on these through the Emergency Services Committee, which I had, and we have my two cohorts here. We are trying to upgrade police cars because if you've looked at them, some of them have a lot of miles. And I do thank the Dora Maura Board, and I have been following this whole thing since I read about it in the Toledo Blade last fall. And so it gave me an out to hear some of this stuff in advance. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Mrs. Gilman.
Thank you for coming and giving us all the information on the potential Maura Dora. The sip and chat tomorrow with the city is at 9 a.m. at the Bistro, and everybody is always welcome to attend. It's a great opportunity to talk to city officials, and I did see that Main Street might be there talking about this again, so if you have any questions. And that's it, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Mr. Hill.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Belo.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee meeting scheduled for February 19th is canceled. The announcement of new names. I'm curious if anyone in the audience not associated with Main Street has any strong objections at this point to what they're proposing for the downtown outdoor refreshment area. Thanks. That's all, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Seeing no further business.
Madam President, I move that this August body adjourn.
Second for Mrs. Sardi. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?